Moving over to semi-autos, we're in a little bit different universe here than we were with the revolvers. With the revolvers, they work pretty much the same across the board from manufacturer to manufacturer. There's a little bit of deviation with things like cylinder releases and maybe the exact way the extractor rod works or the function it performs. But for the most part, revolvers all work about the same. With semi-autos, each firearm is pretty much a study unto itself. There are similarities, but there are also a lot of differences. With the semi-autos that I have here in front of me, I have a Smith & Wesson CS9 here. This is a traditional double action semi-auto, which means the first trigger pull fires the shot double action. After that, each successive shot is a single action shot that is fired. With this particular pistol, one of the things you have to learn, and with any pistol that uses this type of a trigger system, is to manage both the double action pull and the single action pull. You also have a decocker to be cognizant of with this particular firearm. It is a very good, reliable firearm, but it does take work and training to become proficient with this firearm. If you become proficient with it, and with any of the semi-autos here, it will give you a larger capacity for a similar size firearm. It will also give you quicker loading and reloading potential than you would get with a similar size or with any double action revolver. Moving down to my M&P. This has what at least the factory categorizes as a double action only trigger. By that, what they're saying is each trigger pull is exactly the same. So it's a little simpler than the CS9 as far as managing the trigger pull, but you've still got the various controls, the slide release, you have the magazine that you have to load, insert it, cycle the slide. One of the most common malfunctions that I see with handguns on the range is people who insert the magazine but forget to cycle the slide and move around actually into the chamber. When they get up to the firing line, the first time they squeeze the trigger, instead of a bang, they get a click. That's not really a malfunction on the part of the firearm, that's a malfunction on the part of the shooter, and it's something you have to be sure that you're doing if you're going to carry that firearm for defensive purposes. You don't ever want to get a click when you're expecting a bang in a defensive situation. With my 1911 here in the middle, and this would apply to any single action semi-automatic, these two firearms, as you recall, I said my revolvers are my every person's firearms. These are my professionals' firearms. These are the ones that somebody is going to train with that till they become proficient to be able to take advantage of the magazine system and be able to properly load and manipulate all of the controls and effectively employ that firearm if they have to in a defensive situation. With the 1911, this is what I consider my expert's firearm. This is the firearm where somebody's going to live, eat, sleep, and shoot this thing constantly. The reason is they're going to have to be able to manage that very light single action trigger pull, and they're also going to have to be able to competently manipulate that safety as they're drawing the firearm in order to bring it into action. Failing to manipulate it is going to result in the firearm not discharging when it should. Also, if you manipulate it improperly, or you somehow apply pressure to the trigger when you don't intend to after the safety has already been disengaged, you're going to fire that pistol when you don't expect to. Either one of those could end up being very bad for the person that's handling that firearm. For that purpose, this is the firearm more so than any of the other ones. And again, I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't train with any of your firearms, but this is the one that you have to train with religiously to be able to employ that firearm safely and effectively. With all the firearms we've looked at today, our price point has been somewhere between about $400 and $700 retail, give or take maybe $50. But these have not been the most expensive firearms that you can find out there. They haven't been the least expensive firearms you can find out there. As I said before, as far as price goes, staying somewhere in the middle will usually give you a good, reliable firearm. I have never had a malfunction with my M&P. I have never had a malfunction with my CS9, and the only malfunctions I've ever had with my 1911 have been with hand-loaded ammunition. I have never had a malfunction with factory-loaded ammunition in that particular pistol. So very good reliability out of modern semi-autos. Still, I would give the revolvers a little bit of a nod in the reliability department, even at this point. because they are just such a simple and reliable mechanism. Okay, I hope in our brief discussion this morning you've gotten some information that you can take away that will hopefully help you in selecting a firearm. Again, make sure whatever firearm you're considering fits your hand properly. You can manipulate all of the controls that it might have, whether it's revolver or semi-auto, effectively and efficiently. And again, train with that firearm. Make sure that you can use it properly, safely, and effectively if your life or someone else's life depends upon it. I hope you found this informative. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I'll see you next time, and good shooting.